Hi everyone, today we did get that continuation higher. We did break out above the level and above yesterday's high, pushing towards that 597 level. So far we haven't touched it yet. We touched it on the post NVDA push. So far we haven't quite gotten there, but it was a nice continuation today as expected. But let's take a quick look at the rest of the charts. Do me a quick favor and like and subscribe and watch the video till the end to help out the channel, and let's get started. In news today, we got Trump coming out and slamming Republicans for not backing this big, beautiful bill due to the $5 trillion debt ceiling hike, which is absolutely fair. Part of his mandate was to reduce government spending, and that seems to be the exact opposite, which is consistent with every politician ever. It seems like at this point we just continue to spend more and more as fast as humanly possible, and this is absolutely ridiculous. How can we do this forever? And this is why we're getting those debt downgrades from all of the major rating agencies at this point. Definitely very concerning. Trump said this will spur tremendous growth and said that Rand Paul likes to vote no on everything. Why can't we spur tremendous growth while also reducing our debt at least a little bit, reduce spending somewhere, something? But no, we always spend more money, and now there's a little bit more squabbling within the government. Looking at fear and greed, we actually had a pretty substantial step down to 56 from a 62 despite the continued move higher. Still extreme fear on momentum. Again, this has not moved at all. There's got to be something broken within this metric, but strength, greed, breadth, still extreme greed despite the fact that that continues to weaken. Put call ratio flat. Volatility continues to flatten out here as well at these low levels. Safe haven demand moving a little bit higher, but look at junk bonds. A little bit of a spike here up to the fear metric. Definitely interesting. We'll have to take a look at bonds a little bit later to see what's going on with that. Moving over to the economic calendar, CPI for the Eurozone lower than expectations. Again, it seems to me that inflation is dead. JOLTS job reports came in much better than expectations. That probably spurred some of the growth that we got here today. Tomorrow, we do have a little bit of soft data, not expecting a whole lot out of that. Really up until non-farm productivity, that could be interesting. Interest rate decision for ECB may be interesting. Look at these GDP numbers now for Q2, 4.6. That is a massive move higher from what we had been seeing on the Atlanta Fed GDP numbers. And then looking at Friday, this is the big one with all of that unemployment data. Moving over to the charts, looking at the S&Ps here, you can see we did get a nice continuation up about 0.5%, closed above these previous highs here. This continues to look like either a rising wedge or a rising triangle at this point. It looks more like a rising wedge now with that small step above this body, but we'll see. Can we get above 597? That is the critical level. We have not gotten above it for any length of time. Briefly touched it back here pre-market on the Thursday of last week, and now we're going to continue to look for a push here. Everything looks bullish, so you don't want to bet against it, at least for now, but if you were going to try to, 597.63 would be that resistance. Moving over to the SPY charts here on the Tasty charts, you can see bullish conditions got back above that 8 EMA, continued through that first ATR band, 595. Now we are looking for the second one here, 599.30. Again, that would take you right to the highs from that post NVIDIA run, and then your next ATR band would be 603.47. So that's your next level. That would take you right past all of these highs, and that would push us back into much more bullish conditions. And then looking at that daily chart, your upper band here is 604.87. So again, pretty much in that same range, 603, 604 would be that first target, which would take you into that consolidation range back here from just below your all-time high. So is this back to bullish conditions? Are we going to rally to new all-time highs? Maybe, maybe not. My guess is there's still going to be a lot of orders and trailing stops above this level. Moving over to the NASDAQ, much stronger here on the NASDAQ chart, up almost 1% there, and now we are looking towards that 538.28 level. Clean break above 523, closed right at it yesterday, held that level, continuation here today, so very, very strong. Everything looks good. Momentum stepping back to bullish, RSI back above the SMA. You still have clear divergence with a higher price but a lower RSI read, so waiting to see if that comes to fruition. That's part of why I think this might end up being a rising wedge where it ultimately does result in bearishness, but for now, we are in that pattern, and it does look bullish in the short term. You can see it here on the hourly. Rally up, short pullback in the after hours, continuation through. Did look a little choppy here. After hours pre-market, tested that 21 almost, and then the continuation. So momentum bullish, overbought again on the RSI. A little bit of volume selling towards the end of the session, but held in there pretty good, not expecting anything crazy. Again, the target is that 538.28 level. Moving over to the Tasty charts here, you can see we're already pretty extended. That upper band right now, 534.57 is the upper band. It looks like we're probably going to go there before this is all said and done, and that would take you very, very close to those all-time highs. Do we throw big wicks through those levels and then get another major rejection? That still remains to be seen, but so far so good on this bullish move. Continues to look very good in the short term. And then looking at that 4-hour chart, you can see we bought at the end of the session yesterday, had a slight retracement, good continuation through. Second ATR band target would be 530.71, and then your next one above that, 535.19. Moving over to the Russell and the Dow. Look at this move on the Russell. Considering how strong the other major indices had been versus the Russell, this move here on the Russell was a little surprising, up 1.61%. Pushed through 208, closed well above it, looking for 211. You still have these wick highs, pivot point around here, 210 or so. Momentum bullish, RSI bullish, looking for a nice continuation to that next level, 211. And then the Dow closed right at the 426.20 level, closed at 426.01. So touched that level, did hold. Do we get a level break continuation to that next one, 432.78? That could be interesting. Momentum is bullish, RSI is bullish, with the continuation here today off of the momentum from yesterday. Moving over to the Mag 7, really I want to highlight that the Mag 7 did not go any higher here today at all, up just 5 cents. We did touch that level, 315.04, touched that level and rejected, finishing basically unchanged. So the Mag 7 is not leading us higher. And if you look at the RSI, this still looks like that very weak setup that we had before. Clear divergence, much weaker RSI, can't get above the SMA, so that is a little bit concerning that these stocks are not leading us to the upside, at least for now, but overall markets still look good. This is just an underlying weakness to keep in mind. Moving over to Apple and Microsoft, you got Apple going up here a little bit right to that resistance area, 21 EMA, 203.29, finished at 203.27. So we're right there at the resistance. The momentum a little bit bullish, RSI a little bit bullish, but still well within this consolidation range. Not expecting major movement in either direction until we get a break of this range, and we are right in the middle of it, so nothing there. And then looking at Microsoft, very small move up, $1 here, or 0.22%, still looking for that all-time high around 466.50. Moving over to Tesla and NVDA. Tesla was basically unchanged, up just 0.5%. You can see we did touch that next level, 355.03, which continues to be a major resistance. Touched that level, rejected back to basically unchanged. Momentum bearish, RSI bearish, so don't love that. This still looks like a topping pattern. You can argue left shoulder head, right shoulder forming here. They also got some bad news about continuing to see breakdown in demand for Tesla vehicles. Of course, it's not just a vehicle story, but that is not a great story to have. And then looking at NVIDIA, nice continuation here through that next level, 140.76. We expected the touch of that level today. We did get it. Now the next level above that is that 149.65 level, which is just off of your all-time highs, which is around 153 or so. So continues to look good here on NVIDIA. Moving over to Meta and Broadcom, you can see Meta was down a little bit on the day, had a really powerful day yesterday, carried markets yesterday, but then pulled back a little bit from there here today. Interesting. And then look at semiconductors with Broadcom. This is all-time highs here for Broadcom. Clean breakout above that high back here, post-earnings 16 December. Now this is all-time highs to price discovery. This is probably a good opportunity. This will probably continue to run. Let's go ahead and extend this out just to give us some perspective. Maybe this runs all the way up to 300. That would be crazy, but wouldn't shock me to see this go to around 270 to 280. Very, very powerful, obviously very extended, but this has a ton of momentum behind it. Moving over to staples and discretionary. Staples basically unchanged here today, down just 8 cents, still held the level 82.53, so that looks good. And then looking at discretionaries, this has not gone with the rally. This still looks like a topping pattern. Momentum still bearish, RSI in that same setup, looking for the retest breakdown from that RSI SMA. Moving over to breadth. Breadth had a nice move here today. We did get a little bit of a base now with the bounce on the 23rd and then the bounce here on the 2nd. Nice little strong move here, up about 19% back into the 60s, back above the 50 line. So maybe this is the move that we needed, just a very small pullback on breadth. And then 50-day really didn't do anything at all. We just kind of consolidated, pull back in time. If it was going to break down, it needed to do it here, but so far it's held up quite well. Still looks like a wedge pattern with no clear direction, but the fact that it has held up so well is a slightly bullish indicator for me. Moving over to the 2 and the 10-year yield here. These really did not move that much here today. I just wanted to highlight them because We did see such movement on that fear and greed index, but really they didn't move a whole lot. This looks a little bearish on 2-year. It's been stuck between this 3.6 and 4 level for a while, kind of like we thought it was going to be, really waiting on the Fed to make a move. Nothing has changed there. 10-year, same thing. We've been kind of between 4.15 and 4.5. Coming off of that 4.5, we're in the middle of the range now. Nothing crazy. Surprising to see that indicator go so crazy, but bond yields not really moving a whole lot today. Moving over to J&K and TLT. J&K was up about a quarter in the same kind of trading range it's been in. Momentum slightly bearish, RSI slightly bearish, but holding up, kind of mixed on the trends. We're above the 21, above the 55, but below the longer term ones. Above some of the structure here, but nothing crazy. And then looking at TLT, down a little bit. Interesting. Not a whole lot, just 15 cents or 0.18%. Momentum fading a little bit. Does this sell back off to the lows around 83? Do we touch the 82.60 level? Potentially. Either way, though, this is still a good buying opportunity. We're still above the SMA on the RSI, so nice opportunity. Got the low. We're retesting this area, looking for a continuation higher. Moving over to the VIX, you can see the VIX has sold off the last 3 days. Not a lot, but a little. Today was a little bit more aggressive, breaking below this consolidation low here. This is probably going back down to the trend now, around 16.2 or so. Once we touch there, then we'll see what happens. But right now, this looks like we're going to go a little bit lower. This wick was very short-lived. I thought we'd get a little continuation off of it, but at this point, the structure is quite bearish. Moving over to my accounts, I did okay on the session. You can see I held some positions here on the IWM. I sold one during the session, made some money on that. It's not reflecting on the P&L because this is the next day's P&L, but you can see $14 on that. Up about $60 net, I believe, on the 2 trades. You can see it here, day trades 3. So that was 1 in and out, and then I held this position here. So that's good. 208, 463 cents. I think this will continue to go higher tomorrow. And then the Qs, didn't do anything with it, just held the shares, held the calls, made money on that position. Pretty good recovery there as well. Plenty of room to that max profit around 535, which is the target on pretty much all of the charts that we talked about. Do we get above that over the next 30 days? Maybe. I would expect some form of retracement within that time period though. So if we get there and we get executed at this price, that would be a great profit either way. Bullish for now. Let me know down in the comment section what you think of the federal budget and the new big beautiful bill. Should we just continue to spend into infinity, or will somebody eventually stop spending? Let me know. Otherwise, like and subscribe if you got any value out of this video. Make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Of course, none of this is financial advice. This is all for entertainment purposes. Good luck in your trading and have a great day.